Hi, welcome to Mr. Dyer's Musings. I'm Mr. Dyer. Today we're going to be taking a look at rope, not just any kind of rope. We're going to be taking a look at the kind of rope that scouts would have carried on their belt, known as guard rope. So stay with me. As always, I'd like to thank my wife and family for their unconditional support. I'd like to thank you guys, my viewers, for taking the time and opportunity to watch this video. If you like it, please click like. If you're new to our channel, check out all my other videos. There's a lot of Civil War and historic campcraft videos, and we always focus on artifacts in the history, and we try to use them and demonstrate them, like in today's video. I'd like to thank my patrons on Patreon, and if that's something that you're interested in participating in and joining the Patreon family, please check out Mr. Dyer's Musings on Patreon. So today we're going to be taking a look at Scout guard rope. And I don't have one in my own personal collection, but I have had the opportunity to examine an original Scout guard rope. And the problem with that is that Scout guard ropes were offered for sale for such a long period of time. I don't know when the one that I saw was actually made. I can't guarantee if it was made in the 1920s, 1930s, or even up to the 1950s, or possibly even the 60s. So I want to put that out there just to keep it in mind, just so that you're aware that there might be some differences if you look at historic Scout guard rope from other examples. I'm going to give you another caveat. So in order to make this video and put it out on time, one of the pieces to make a reproduction I was not able to get in time. So I am kind of substituting the little metal ferrules that were clamped on the rope right below the other metal pieces. I couldn't find enough time, and then it was kind of delayed. So I do not have that with me today to show you. But because of that, we also have the opportunity for me to teach you a skill, not just any skill. It's actually quite usable scout skill. Okay, so first I'm going to show you what the guard rope is, and we're going to describe it, and then we're going to get into the skills aspect. And then in the later videos, I'm actually going to show you all the different uses of this really cool piece of equipment. So a guard rope like this here is 15 foot of braided sash cord, 3/8 inch thick, and it has a metal ring and a little metal clasp, a little thumb clasp that is able to pivot. So the rope I got from Sergeant Knott's. Now you can get your 3/8 inch cotton braided rope anywhere that you want to, but that's where I got mine from, and it shipped quickly, and I was really pleased about that. And I found the thumb clip, and this is a 1/2 inch from Tractor Supply. Here in Ohio we got a lot of Tractor Supply, but I did see them at Lowe's, and I think Rural King also had it when I looked online, so if you're looking for one. But this one I got from Tractor Supply. I also got this ring. Now the problem is that Lowe's did not have this size ring, which I'm going to take a look here. It is a 1 by number 7 ring. And see if there's another. Got my little stickers here. See if I can find the exact. Yeah, it just says number 7 by 1 inch on the sticker. So that's what I got here. Lowe's had the bigger ones, but not this size. And you want it the size because you want it to be able for the thumb clasp to go through the ring. Okay. So you got your rope, you got your 2 metal pieces. You want some type of measuring device. I use this soft measuring tape. If you got a yardstick or something else, that'll work. But I use this because it was really easy to string them up side by side when I was measuring it. And as far as length, you want 15 foot and 8 inches. 15 foot and 8 inches. Now, when you put on your first metal piece, it doesn't really matter as long as you're staying the fold within appropriate diameters. But to make sure that you have a true 15 foot, the second metal piece that you put in is more imperative. All right, you'll need, for this one, if you don't have the metal ferrules, you're going to need a pair of pliers, either this type, metal needle nose, or something else. Something to cut your twine or string with. I'm using regular cotton string. I don't have bank line. I wish I did. If you do have tarred bank line, that's what I would use, honestly, since I just had this type of cotton string, it's twisted cotton string, and since I think this is just going to be a temporary until I get my metal ferrules, it wasn't such a big deal to me. So that way I have time to make the video. But on the cotton string that I did have, I melted some wax in a throwaway pot, you know, something that I guess have extra, go to Goodwill or another thrift store, buy some type of metal pot. That way you don't cook on your decent pots and get it all messy. But I just had a candle, put it on medium low, heated it up, and then I dipped the string into it, made sure that the string soaked up the wax, and I pulled it out, and in just a minute it was cool enough and dry enough to use. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so I have this one here. This one's finished, and what I'm going to show you is how to whip rope, which is a great scout skill, and I'm also going to show you how to coil the rope, which is really important. When these things were purchased, they were purchased in coils, and in all the pictures and all the catalogs you will see that they're in coils. And if you're not familiar with how to appropriately coil a rope so it's easily quick deployable, we're going to learn about that today. So the first thing is you're going to take your rope and you're going to bend it in half, make a loop. You're either going to put your ring or your clasp through it, and you're going to bring it down about 4 inches, like so. That's why you 15 foot and 8 inches. You're going to have 4 inches on this end, you're going to have 4 inches basically folded on the other. And then we're going to whip this part. Now here's something that you need to know about whipping rope. When you whip, which is traditionally used to prevent the fraying of a rope like this, you want it to be as long, you want to whip it as long as the rope's diameter or more. Generally speaking, it's 1 to 1.5 times that of the diameter of the rope. Okay. Now this is, since we folded it over, this is double. And you can pull on this and it's not going to pull out. It's not going to pull out. Now, I still wouldn't use this for all the intended purposes that scouts used it for, because I don't have the metal ferrule that should actually be clamped on here. In other videos, when we talk about this rope and we demonstrate this rope, we're going to talk about properties of rope and why it's important to take load, strength, and the stress of ropes into consideration and how you use it. All right, so I have this other end here that still needs this part. So I'm going to untie it. I'm not going to demonstrate on this rope because I think it's going to be really difficult to see and me to show you how to whip. So instead I'm going to use one of my wooden tools and other rope. So we have contrasting colors. So you would take this, you would feed it through either your ring or your clasp, you would fold it over like so. Now you can tie a constrictor knot around that. That way it holds this in place, and then you can start your whipping and work your way down or up, whichever way you want to go. But if you choose not to use a constrictor knot, then just know it might be a little bit more difficult to do. So All right, so this is the tool we're going to use to teach you how to whip a rope. All right, so we're going to use this mallet that I have, and to demonstrate, this would be the rope that you're going to be whipping, whether it be a single piece of rope that you're just trying to make sure that the ends don't come loose, or in our situation where you're trying to join two pieces of rope to make an eye. First thing you're going to do, the rope that you use to do your whipping, it needs to be a smaller diameter. And again, something that is going to be rot resistant, like this would be fine. But tarred bank line would be a great use. They also make whipping thread, whipping twine, but like I said, if you use what you have, and you can replace it later, like what I'm going to do. So when whipping, you're going to take and create a loop like so. Notice it's just a single loop. You're going to lay that loop on the rope like so. Then you're going to leave the tail exposed, because when you get down to the opposite end, you're actually going to pull this tail, and it's going to make the knot good and tight and close it off. So use your thumb or forefinger or something else to hold them together, and you're going to cross the rope like so. Notice how I crossed over this one to hold it. Then you're going to continue, and you're going to try to make it as tight, and you want it nice and closed as possible. The tighter, the better. All right, so I don't have enough to go completely around. So we have the eye here, and we have this tail. We're going to stick the tail through the eye, just like so. And then this other tail, we're going to pull. And as you can see, it's biting it down. Now, if this was actually the appropriate length, then that would be ideal. But once you pull down, you want this knot to sit in the middle of your whipping. And you want to make sure that you don't pull all the way through. If it's really easy to pull through, which this one's not, which is good, because it's good and tight, but if it's really easy to pull through, then you really need to redo this over again. If you're not having difficulty pulling down and getting this end in the middle, then you need to redo it. And that's where the pliers come in handy. So those of you who carry multi-tools outdoors when you go camping, this is a reason why you might have pliers. Okay, now it sits in the middle and it's locked. Once you have that done, you're going to trim off both ends, and that is the whipping. And that's what we have here. So once you trim off the tails, it looks nice and clean. Like I said, it's really difficult. You can't even pull this. The reason why I use wax thread is because the stickiness of the wax will waterproof the cotton, because cotton has a tendency to rot, so you do have to be careful of that. And the wax also helps with the stickiness hold onto the rope. Tarred bank line has that property as well, which is really nice and would be a great substitute for what I'm using. It would certainly be better than what I'm using here. But again, I don't have tarred bank line, so we use what we have for this. And later on, I'll get those ferrules and I'll put them on here crimp them down, and it'll be good and solid and be an actual quality reproduction of what we're going for here. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how to coil the rope, because there is an actual art to coiling the rope. Because when your rope is coiled like it should be, when you need it, you can use it. So this, for example, is our ring side. If we needed to use this rope and all of the rope quickly, all we have to do is just pull on this. Okay, so now we're going to create the coil of the rope. To coil the rope, what you want to do is create loops in a figure-8 fashion. So if you ever hank a line, very similarly, you're going to grasp it, you're going to stick out your pinky and forefinger, like so, and you're going to create figure-8s until you're almost done. And then you would grasp them and group them together, and you would create loops all the way down, so it's easily and quickly deployable. So we're going to do that in the larger sense on this rope, and you don't want it any longer than a foot. Remember, this is going to be carried on your belt, just like the scouts did back in the day. That way it's quickly available, it's right there when you need it. And if it's a foot long, it's not going to be too bulky, it's not going to slap you in your leg, it's not going to get in the way, and the weight is going to be just about perfect. So we're going to create the figure-8s, and we're going to stack them on top of each other. Try to keep them nice and neat. And you want basically 4 even loops. Something you can do to make sure that your loops are nice and even, you take your fingers like so and you pull, and that'll make them even like you want. So you want to keep track of your loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. We want the other end, since this is the ring end, we want the clip end down here. So we are going to stop there, and because we're going to have to wrap this down that way. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to take the rope and I'm going to flip it over so I can grasp it, like so. Another thing to keep in mind is that you want your running loop on the bottom. It makes it easier to do your wraps. So again, you have your running line. If you're left-handed, just do the opposite of what I do. But you're going to take and flip it over so that the running line is on the bottom, and you're going to wrap this and coil it down. You want to keep your ropes together on this and nicely dressed, but you want to make sure it's not too super tight. You want it moderately tight, not super tight like you would when doing your whipping. Once you get down to the end, all you're going to do is you're going to lift up on the previous link or coil that you wrapped. You're going to lift up on it, and you're going to slip this through. And it'll create that X that you see. And if this had the clip, then you'd be able to clip it to the ring like what we have here, which is another way of securing it, especially since this thing's not going to be swinging around and hitting anybody. And the ring is what you would connect to your belt. Okay, so now you have your coil. How would you deploy it? So you would unclip from the ring, and then with this end, since this is the one that's in the center, you would just pull it. And as you pull, you can just keep it unravels like so, and you can quickly deploy it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed those how-tos on how to reproduce the Scout's rope. In later videos, we're actually going to show you different ways of how to use this rope, especially for the intentions of why it was called a guard rope. But there are so many other uses for this, including survival situations. Since it is cotton, 100% cotton, this makes a great tinder. If you need something to start your fire, you can also turn it into a slow match to help you start a fire. Scouts use rope for so many things, camp projects, pioneering projects, camp furniture. It's just a really great tool to have when you need to manipulate something heavy, when you need to do a rescue. Then this is where this type of rope would come into play. And when you have a whole patrol of scouts who would have these, they could link them together, and they can manipulate this rope in lots of ways to facilitate other uses. So the sky is the limit, and I can't wait until we show you how to utilize this piece of equipment. And maybe you want to add it to your own, just in case you ever need a tool that's already pre-done. If you like the video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing, and don't forget to press the bell button so you get notified when these videos come out. I sincerely appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Again, I hope you got something out of it. Nothing else. Maybe you learned a new skill. Leave a comment below if you have a scout rope that you used to carry and use, especially if it was like the guard rope, because they stopped issuing these, I'm pretty sure, in the 1960s. So if you were a scout in the 1950s or 1960s, you might have had one of these. What did you use it for? Give me some ideas. I'd appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Give a kiss and hug to your loved ones, and take care.